It's a really great mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just tariqe se He brought the two young people together by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is basically a little bit related to marriage. And it's just a short talk. I have 3 points that I want to share with you. Before I start, what I wanted to tell you was a story about when I was a child. So I was born and raised in Chicago. And when I was a kid, I was about maybe Rahma's age, like 11 years old. And my father, he bought me an encyclopedia. He bought me and my sisters a Children's World Book Encyclopedia. Or anybody, it was like 22 volumes. And it had things about the green kingdom of the world, and stories of children from around the world, and things about geography, right? It has many different kinds of topics in it. One of the volumes was about the earth and space. And in that volume, my favorite thing was there's a section on stones. And as some of the kids here know, I really like jewelry, but I love looking at the gemstones section. And there was the birthstones. You're from January, you're this, so I'm from August. My birthstone was a light green color. And in the book, it would tell you the meaning of each stone. If you're this stone, it means this. If you're this stone, it means this. For my stone, I think it was my stone, I remember it said, this means married happiness. It means izdiwaji khushi, right? Married happiness. And I remember, subhanAllah, I was just about this age, little kid, and I read that and I said, this is not possible that it comes from anything except Allah. In my heart. It's not possible. Right? And this is true. It doesn't come, this thing, from any other source except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? At the same time, as much as this is true, as much it is true that married happiness is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you and I, when we're thinking about getting married, or we are married, we must understand also that we have to do certain things. Even if the happiness, the source is Allah, it is incumbent on me, it is necessary and farz on me to do certain actions in order to bring those things about. To bring the married happiness and the khushi in my izdiwaji zindagi, right? So I'm going to talk about, there's many things that we could talk about, many different things, actions that could bring out this khushi, but I'm going to talk about 3 things, mention 3 hadith, one with each. The first thing that I'd like to mention is the importance of me as a wife, having adab with my husband. Right? And when we hear this, it's yeah, I know, of course, yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to have adab with my husband. But the thing is, one of the big problems of our day is that for women especially, we live in a feminist, free choice, meri marzi, meri whatever. What do you guys say in Urdu? There's this thing nowadays, right? Mera jism, meri marzi. I mean, those who are married, you understand how serious that statement is. It's a very dangerous statement, right? So you have to understand that all of the dunya right now is going to tell you that it's important for you if something is going wrong in the marriage, or if you don't like something that your husband is doing, or if there's something that you feel is not fair, you must speak, right? That's what they say. You have to say it. Why are you quiet about it? Why are you tolerating this? Why is this necessary, right? And so this is and you're going to get this feedback from every direction. The younger you are, or the more Western educated you are, the more this feedback is going to come, right? And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with trying to fix the problem. Nobody's saying that you be a doormat. You know a doormat? Where you just let people step on you? Nobody's saying that. But there is a method within the Sharia. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, there were so many people who violated the right, the immense rutbah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he never spoke back in an inappropriate manner, ever. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was the best of all creation, the best and the highest. He could have done anything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made him in such a perfect and beautiful way that even when people messed around with what was his right, he never spoke back in an incorrect manner. So, what does that tell us? It tells us that it is my responsibility to speak, to be mindful of the moment that I'm in. I have seen people, so there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he said, the one who lowers himself or herself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises her. And the one who shows arrogance and akar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lowers that person. And I've seen this in my own life. Alhamdulillah, I've been married for 23 years. And I see this in multiple examples of people, women, who have excellent character. Every one of us is going to face some kind of a problem. Normal, it's natural, right? But the ones who know how to hold their tongue and when to speak and when to not speak and what to say and what not to say, when you do this right, the rutbah of that woman does get raised. You know, I see, for example, when somebody very close to me, she actually had a very, very difficult marriage. She had a husband who was verbally and emotionally very not, you could say abusive, right? This woman was never showed any kind of an incorrect response. And finally, she got to a stage kind of later in her marriage, maybe something like my stage. She couldn't take it anymore. And what did she do? Still, she didn't speak out. She quietly just separated herself from that situation until he realized there was a problem and he himself reconciled. And her situation completely went in her favor after that. Right? And I can tell you more and more examples. But this is the thing, it's really hard. I mean, what I'm telling you right now, it sounds easy to do. Many of us here in this room are married, and you know that that's one of the most difficult things to do. But if you can do it, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, this is the jihad akbar. This is the big jihad of holding your nafs down. The second thing I could say in terms of the 3 actions that I wanted to share to try and gain married happiness, the second one is a little bit funny and a little bit embarrassing, but sorry. It's really important for you as a wife to show your husband love and affection. Okay? It's important to do this. And I know it sounds obvious, but the thing is, when you're looking at stuff online, I don't know, movies and whatever media stuff, all the romance and all the cute stuff happens in the beginning, right? And then you'll notice a lot of ladies, they might get bored or they might get busy with the children and they'll forget that there's a person here. The only person now at this stage, you have a husband who's 35 years old. You have a husband who's 40 years old. He's 50 years old. The only person this guy can get affection from and love from in a halal way is from you. He's not even a kid anymore that his mother can say, oh, little beta, like, he's not going to get that, right? And so, what I mean by affection, I mean specifically like using a pet name, calling him sweetheart, right? Like giving hugs and kisses. Now, I'm not talking about whatever stuff. I'm saying normally, it's important to show affection. And at the same time, so I say this not just randomly. There's actually a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said to the Sahaba, marry the woman who is loving. Wadud, marry the loving woman and the fertile woman, the one who will have children for you. This is a recommendation of Rasulullah ﷺ. And so, I apologize if this is a little bit awkward, but I know even for the young people, the young ladies who are here, you have to understand, if you've never seen your parents show affection, it might just be because they don't do it in front of you, right? But it has to be there. It has to be that you show some affection. Now, at the same time, what I'd like to say is that while you show the affection, you have to be careful not to stick to the person like glue. You know what Urdu say, being chipko, right? If you do that, you're actually going to the opposite extreme, okay? And this can actually be a turn-off. What happens is, a lot of us now, before in the previous age, we would live in extended families, right? We'd have like hobbies and sauce and the this and the that, and we'd be lots of people around. You have lots of activities, then you have lots of kids, and you're busy with all the kids, right? And so the woman is occupied. When it's free time for the husband, she can give him attention. And when he's busy, she has so many other things to keep her occupied. We don't have that a lot nowadays. Many of us are living alone. Many of us move off, like myself. I was in America, far from my parents and his parents. When we got married, for like 10 years, we were just by ourselves. So you can become really kind of dependent on him for all of your entertainment. Right? Like, he has to be your best friend. He has to be your family. He has to be your everything. So be loving and don't be chip. Okay? Don't stick to him like, have something to do, have some hobbies, take a class, do some knitting, right? If you are religiously inclined, we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, Adab discretion tatma'innul qulub. Okay, and then the last thing that I will say, the final of the 3 actions, is be wise. This is really important, guys. I want you guys to listen to it. Sorry. So, but the third final point is, if you ever have a problem in your marriage, and this is inevitable, meaning it will happen, right? There will always be some sort of an issue. You're not the same person. You're 2 totally different people. You've come from 2 totally different families. You'll have some kind of a disagreement. If and when that happens, my advice to you is be very careful about talking about that problem. If you have a problem, be very careful about talking about that problem. And what you need to do is see who it is that you're talking to. And there are 2 people that I would say you never talk to. Let's say you had a fight with your husband, right? Can you guess who is somebody you shouldn't talk to? Ask. There you go. This girl is smart. Okay. First people that you never talk to about your marital problems is your parents. Okay? Huh? This is the first point. This is the first point. This is a very important point. And it sounds, again, those of you who are sasses or mothers here who have married kids, I'm sorry, right? I know it's not very nice for me to say that, but you really, really don't want to go and tell your mother, कि ऐसा ऐसा हुआ था, और फिर ये ऐसा कहते, और फिर सास हमारी ऐसा की थी, और ये, there's no reason. Why that's problematic, why it's really a problem. Okay, bismillah. So I'm close. This is the last and final point. This is the point about when you have a problem in your marriage, if you ever have a problem, which is, like I said, always happens. You have to be careful about who you talk to. The first, you look at the person and you search who it is that's going to help me get out of this problem. So generally, your own parents, the reason why I say don't talk to your parents about it is because their love for you is so strong that they cannot understand, they cannot deal with your problem in a reasonable way. The way that they will get hurt and angry, it will affect you it becomes a really big problem. Okay? So you don't want to do that. You don't want to go to your parents. God forbid, na'udhu billah, if there's some very serious issue, that's a different. I'm not talking about something really serious. And even then, you make mashwara with people first, but don't tell your parents. You're just going to break their heart. Talking about little things, you don't need to do that. Okay, the second person you don't talk to is your friend who is either not married yet or who is married but has a dysfunctional marriage. She is married, but you know she's not happy in the marriage. Hadwak shikayat, hadwak something, right? Or you notice, even she's not doing shikayat, but you know something's wrong with this couple, right? Why would you tell her? She's only going to say, he's so stupid, just get out of there. Why are you in there? Why are you in that marriage? Why are you tolerating this? This is what happens. So you don't want to go to people who will not guide you. Essentially what I'm trying to say is, look for somebody wise, somebody who has a good marriage, somebody who wants you to stay happily married. Okay? And you go to those kind of people for your advice. About complaining, there is nothing wrong necessarily in talking about if there's a problem. Say there's some issue going on, you and your husband are not agreeing about how to raise your child, about homeschooling. Somebody wants homeschooling, somebody doesn't want homeschooling, right? It's a very difficult problem, actually. You're in that state. I can see some people going, yes. So, when you're in this situation, you need some advice. What you would do is you find somebody who can give you mashwara, and then the ulama, if you go to the books of the ulama about the halal and the haram, they say you are allowed to speak only to the extent necessary. Meaning, whatever the problem is, jitna aapko zaruri hai batana, mashwara dene, you can say. Beyond that, okay, my mother-in-law does this, and then it's this, and then that, and has nothing to do with the problem. You are not allowed, it's haram for you to speak beyond the extent necessary. Haram, what I mean is haram as in kabira guna. It's a major sin because it counts as backbiting. And a lot of us in our culture, they say, nahi, magar usko to kisi ke samne to bharas nikalna hai. Right? She needs to get it off her chest. This is, I'm sorry to say, completely haram. This is not a justification for you to backbite about your husband, for you to backbite and do riba about your saas. Not allowed. It's not allowed. Unless you're doing it for a reason. And I'll tell you one last thing before we close. That feeling that you have when you really hurt, and sometimes people will hurt you, it happens in life, right? When that feeling, when you're really, really hurt and you really need to talk to somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put that feeling in your heart. Why? Why, Hala? That so you can talk to him, right? The feeling is there, tabi'an. It's in your tabiyat to have this feeling that I need to talk to somebody. Mujhe kisi ke samne bada zaruri hai nikalna. Kiske samne nikalenge? The one who's going to help you, right? So you go to your sajjada, and I have seen the same friend that I was telling you about who had that hard marriage, the 20-year hard marriage, and everything flipped now because of her adab and her khamushi and her excellence in the way she dealt with the problem. What I noticed about this woman is she will spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes in one sajda. In one sajda. All the crying and all the whatever, and we know something's wrong, we don't really know what's wrong, and she's getting it all out. And not in front of anyone except the one who can help her. And that is Allah. I'm going to close for the barakah by reading a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anas ibn Malik, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him these words. I won't read the whole thing in Arabic, but it begins, Ihfadallah yahfadak. Watch out for Allah, you watch out for Allah, and Allah will watch out for you. Right? Watch out for Allah, and you will find Him before you. In front of you, you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there. Tujidhu tujahak. In front of you. If you ask, ask Allah. If you seek help from Allah. If the whole ummah, if the whole dunya, ummah here doesn't mean ummah of Rasulullah, so it means every in the creation, everything got together and tried to help you, they would not be able to help you unless Allah willed. And if everything in creation, every single body stood up and said, I'm going to hurt this girl, no one could hurt you except if Allah wills that they can do it. The pages have been lifted and the pens have dried. The ink has dried. It's written already. What's going to come to you? So the point is, if you want married happiness, you watch out for Allah and He'll watch out for you. Okay? وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.